Oh my goodness, the music, did it stop playing for you? It stopped playing for me. What's going on here?
It just ended now. You're all good.
We're moving the music down low so that we can start the show. Oh my goodness, this is not off to a great start, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Welcome everybody to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast. It is yours truly, Jimmy Bay, and I am joined to the right of me, as always, by Albert as we kickstart our new era, the Spotify era, because we're making that transition. Because why the heck not?
Hey,
but before we get into the show, we'll start it off the same way we always do for the people who are new and they don't understand, they don't know what they're getting themselves into. I start off every week. Same question for Albert: how the heck have you been? And how have you been enjoying your wrestling?
I have a half-eaten burrito sitting in front of me right now, so I am halfway nourished. But I'm feeling pretty good, and wrestling's pretty damn fun.
That's what I like to hear. If it's not fun, then what are we doing?
Exactly.
And just another tidbit for the people that maybe this is your first time listening because you're listening to us on the streaming. This is a very interactive show. So we run it live. And when people comment, I bring them into the show because that's the kind of party that I'm trying to throw here. Harry, how the heck have you been? He says, hey, yo. So WrestleMania season, that's what we're going to talk about today because I had a conversation with some other people and it kind of had my brain spinning there for a second. I'm curious because a lot of people, myself included, have always thought WrestleMania season began with Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble winner kicks off WrestleMania season, and we're full on board down the on the train, running right into WrestleMania this year. It's in Las Vegas. But I've had some other people start to kind of say that that's not when WrestleMania season begins. They say it starts Elimination Chamber. And they said because, you know, if you think about it, WrestleMania is further into the year now. There's a longer period of time from the beginning of the year, Royal Rumble specifically, to when WrestleMania happens. So they said things may happen at the Rumble, but the WrestleMania season doesn't really start until Elimination Chamber, especially since they've taken the PLE or pay-per-view out between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. So I'm curious of your opinion on this. Do you fall for that nonsense? That's what I think. I think it's nonsense. But do you fall for that nonsense?
No, not at all. The road to WrestleMania starts at Royal Rumble. It's always been the way it is. The winner of the Royal Rumble solidifies. We know one half of our WrestleMania main event. Like that was, you know, always. Now we don't know necessarily. There's almost 99.9% of the time the Royal Rumble winner lately has not main evented WrestleMania. But you know, the last 2 years have been obvious exceptions with Cody winning them. But, you know, we don't know where Jey Uso's WrestleMania main event, his world title match, lands on the card. But you do know one half of your world championship match at the biggest show. That's starting WrestleMania season. If you've got half of your WrestleMania main event, you're kind of starting down that road.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, if there's no implications for WrestleMania at Royal Rumble, it kind of takes some of the excitement away from Royal Rumble. Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan won the Royal Rumble, the first one, and it was like, it just happened. And then Big John Studd won.
Big John Studd, it was like,
just happened.
Cool.
There's no implications for
it.
So
Hogan won the next two, and it was like, cool, okay, Hogan won, hooray, you know, whatever.
On that road.
Yeah, well, listen, I was mad. I mean, even as a kid, I was mad. But you know, I just the same as I told you all about John Cena all these years, I also told you all about Hulk Hogan all these years too.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan sucks, y'all. Harry said he's been good. He ordered a few figures yesterday. Hey, good for you, man. I've been having a hard time finding some figures that I want lately. I feel like my collection is like really good, and I'm like, what else do I even need at this point? But
no, you're not gonna gloss over the fact that tomorrow's your birthday, Jimmy, and we're all in this comment section. Better be wishing Jimmy a happy early birthday.
My lady says it's my birthday, so y'all gotta make sure you send me birthday wishes. I'm not that kind of person where I'm like I need them, but it is a fact, and I know people are gonna do it. So there you go. Maybe another Dominic. Hey, it's still right behind me, and it's not going anywhere this time, babe. It's not going anywhere. But if there is new Dominic figures, I'm definitely gonna get those. That's for dang sure.
Oh yeah, the new one with the mustache is coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, and my son showed me that the double pack with him and R-Truth, where he's holding the
Yes.
money. I was like, I
Yes.
gotta have that one.
That's
So I got
the main event one.
in the Judgment Day. I gotta have that one. So
Yep. I actually got the elite. I actually have the elite R-Truth in the Judgment Day.
It's a good one.
Sure, it's a good one.
I had it in my hand, and I'm like, I'm gonna hold off. I didn't, and then someone snatched it up quick, so I didn't get a chance to go back and get it. But
I won the whole set. Luckily, on a Facebook page, I have I have a guy who like runs a thing every month, and I happen to win. So I won that whole elite set.
Heck yeah, man! Happy birthday to you for that one.
Yeah, right? Happy birthday to you in real life. Happy birthday to me for that.
Thank you, Harry. Harry says happy birthday. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. So this year, like normally, I would have been completely against the whole idea. Back to the WrestleMania talk. Sorry,
yes.
we tend to go off on tangents here a little bit, but that's just what happens when you're having conversations with your friends.
Right.
So I normally would disagree with that whole thing. But this year, I think, makes it a little different because it didn't really feel like WrestleMania season until Elimination Chamber, or at least the week before Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Because we had our winners, and I think the build to those matches kind of got off to a slow start, one more so than the other. But then The Rock comes and throws everything topsy-turvy, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, it is WrestleMania season.
Is it ever?
Yeah. Like I said, I went on a roller coaster of emotions that weekend just because everything was like high, low, high, low, high.
Yeah.
So with WrestleMania being so late this year, like it's 3 weeks later than it normally is, and I won't get into why I think that's the case. I think it was a little bit the timing is a little bit weird, but whatever. But next year they're going right back to the first weekend of April.
Yes.
So it's like this year maybe there's an exception to it because it's technically 3 months between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania this year. That's
right.
A long time.
It's a very long stretch.
Kind of stretch a lot of feuds out. But at this point, title of the show, WrestleMania season is here. We now have 3 matches that are written. We've got 3 matches solidified, and we have one more that we're almost positive is happening. So with that said, we'll just go down the list so far. We'll start with Rhea. Oh, no, we won't start with that one. That's not. That one has been made official.
Yes and no, I guess. So Rhea signed the contract this week, and interjected herself into that match, but it isn't an official WrestleMania match yet. We saw Adam Pearce backstage say, "Hey, just because you put your name on the contract doesn't mean that you can be added to the match," kind of a thing. So obviously, I think that's where we're headed, though. Well, I mean, you're not wrong there, but
I know.
I guess that's what we're leading towards.
Yeah. And
we've already spoken at length about that match and why we think that that's the wrong match to have this year. And especially if you really do think about it, WrestleMania has the capacity to host a few more women's matches than normal. So if you really had somebody like Io Sky, you couldn't have figured out a way to get her into a match with somebody else that you kind of needed, like Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan, or
I don't know if I brought it up last week when we were talking about this, but I feel like an intercontinental title ladder match, multi-woman, the women's intercontinental title match.
Beautiful.
Io Sky in there, it brings some star power into it. You have a top woman in it, and it gets a lot of women on the card. Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was a good spot for her. But I'm going to stop complaining about the triple threat now. I got it out of my system last week. I'm not going to keep going. I'm not going to be one of those fans. I'm going to wait to see what happens here. But since we're on it, we'll just go ahead and tackle this one. Because whereas it is Io versus Bianca, that's not going to be the match. It's going to be Io, Bianca, and Rhea. So with that said, the build to this so far, how would you say they've done on a scale of 1 to 10? With the job?
So I'm going to say that I've been intrigued by it. I didn't first of all, let's be honest. We've said from the beginning, we expected this to just be Rhea versus Bianca. It's really what we thought, right? Now we've moved into Io Sky being added to it. And I like the fact that they added Io Sky into it by having Io Sky win the title. So
Yeah.
it makes her the most important person in the match now because she's the champion. So I like that they've now taken this situation, and if they're going to interject somebody into it, you've got to make them the focal point, right?
Yeah.
I like the way that they did that. I liked the promo last week. I liked Io just getting in both of their faces and smacking the taste out of their mouths. Like, okay, hey, I'm the champion. I'm not an afterthought. I get it. This is what, and it's basically what we said, right? This is what we want. We want these two women. And Io's sitting there going, okay, you can want them all you want, but guess what? I got this now, you know? And I think it was a good way to really make Io. It makes her presence felt. It makes her more important in the match. Like I said, I liked the promo. This week, I thought, you know, everything leading up to it, everything with Rhea, I thought was smart. Hey, if I was in her position, I didn't get my rematch, right? Why am I automatically removed from this equation? She should be angry. It makes sense. She kind of beat everybody down backstage. I like where they're going with it. I like that they're making it more than like, okay, these guys are kind of like here, but now it's all three of them. They all want each other.
Yeah. I'll say, because there was rumblings from a few people I was talking to that they thought Io was going to get added, and I'm like, well, I don't like the idea of her having a title match with Rhea and then losing and then being put into it. So they threw me for a curve when they made her win it. That was definitely
Right.
Like, as much as I'll complain about the triple threat match, it's and again, for the first time, maybe you're the first time hearing this. I don't hate Io. I love Io. She's my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
But I just thought Rhea and Bianca was the main attraction match that you'd want to run here. But if you're adding Io to it, having her as the champion is definitely the way you would have to do it to make me not just completely lose interest. So I like that they did that. Now that I can talk as a grown-up instead of a whiny baby wrestling fan here, I can speak my truth now on it. I thought that was the way to go. I didn't like how they big sistered her in the first segment, but I do like in the second segment how they kind of did it a little bit more. They did it again, but I didn't mind it as much because if it's a reoccurring theme, it's going to make Io far more dangerous in my mind because she's going to get fed up with it. Like, first time, shame on me. Second time, shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
Contract signing I thought was done brilliantly. I don't care that she just took the contract and signed it. You can call it lazy all you want. It works. It's not like they do it every month or with it.
Right.
It works. And Rhea's the kind of character like, you going to tell her no?
Right.
Like, she has that presence. Are you going to go tell her no? You can't do that. I dare you.
Right.
You can't.
She's sitting there towering over Adam Pearce. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to tell exactly? Are you going to say
brutality, bro? You can't stop her.
Come on, let's.
I like that Bianca is very sassy too. I
like that she's not just gonna being like, okay, well, I went to the Rumble, yeah, I'm going to WrestleMania, yay. No, she's in there, and I like that they've given her the edge in this character because of this whole thing that's gone on with Jade and Naomi, where she's in this other position where she's got two of her best friends wanting to tear each other to pieces, and it's WrestleMania season. She's in the Women's World Championship match. She's not letting either of them take it for granted either. She's getting in each of their faces. I like that.
Yeah. It's not ignoring the elephant in the room.
Right.
Like, she's clearly going through in something. And if Rhea is this angry person that's trying to take back something that she feels like she was wrongfully accused of, Bianca should be standing up for herself and she should be getting attitude back. I think, man, that's why I really wanted them to go head to head because I thought that electricity would be there.
Yeah.
Io just stand up for herself. That's good. So I think of the four matches we're going to discuss here tonight, that's part of the WrestleMania so far, I think the build to this one has probably been the best as far as not like just, and that's probably not a popular opinion, but again, I was just clowning on this match last week, but now I'm talking through it from a realistic perspective. And I'm like, I do like the build to this match. I think it's been done very well. We haven't been given anything away yet. So I do like that. before we get to the next one, we'll tuck some of these comments so they don't stack up on us. Because again, we are an interactive show. Thank you very much. Courtney says, "Happy early birthday." A multi-US title match. I want the multi-person matches to be relegated to the women so that more women get on the show. That's just me. That's what I would like to see.
I'm not against that at all.
Yeah. Maybe Rhea and Bianca will have a...
See, I hope not. That's my thing, is that I hope not.
It's a WrestleMania match, and to push it past WrestleMania is like, why? Although it'll probably be a SummerSlam thing because it's 2 nights this year, and they're going to need to fill up 2 cards with some big matches. So that might be where their thinking was coming from. She's not... Harry is a big Nikki Bella fan. He keeps thinking she's going to win everything. That's just not going to happen, my man. It's just not going to happen. Imagine people trying to sign contract during the contract sign. If you think about it, there's the open contracts sometimes where they come out and they just sign it and it's theirs. Isn't that how John Cena took it from Finn?
I think so, right?
And he just went out there and chucked Finn out and took it. So, I mean, that's how it works sometimes. You better believe, though, if I'm ever at a show and they're doing a contract sign, I'm jumping that barricade and I'm signing the contract.
I'm in.
It's on TV. You can't ignore me. If I got to go in there and get my butt kicked, then I got to go in there and get my butt kicked. But at least I was a WWE superstar for 1 night. Got Lou in the chat. Lou, what is up? What is good, man? Thank you for joining as always. And then Dale, hey guys, first time, long time. Was going to save this one for my shows, but I love your opinions overall. Thank you very much, Dale. Let's say you introduce someone close to you to wrestling. What 3 matches do you show? This is a good one because I think all 3 of mine are WrestleMania matches. So this is great. We're talking WrestleMania. So I'll go first. You have time to think because, again, I have mine in my head. Number 1, I'm showing them Rock and Hogan from WrestleMania 18 because it is the grandest spectacle of all matches. I think it's awesome. As a fan, you can clearly see the good guy versus bad guy element in that match, and you can see how it can change in an instance. And the crowd is into it, and when the crowd's into it, it's very easy for you to get sucked in. And it's just a beautiful match to get people in. Number 2, I'm doing Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, the submission match from WrestleMania 13, because it shows you the beautiful violence of a WrestleMania match, the hatred that people can have for each other, and the crowning moment of Stone Cold Steve Austin, who, in my opinion, is the best superstar in the history of professional wrestling, as well as Bret Hart, one of the all-time greats. It's just a no-brainer. And then 3, I'm showing you the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus Usos tag title win because the storytelling in that match is beautiful. The moment is amazing. And the hope is that you would see it, be invested in that, go back and watch the rest of the Bloodline storyline to really get invested to see the kind of storytelling that they can do in this show. And as well, go back and check out anything Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, Sami Zayn, El Generico you can find because, my God, these guys don't miss, and they've been doing it for over 20 years. So those are my 3 matches that I'm showing somebody to introduce them to wrestling. I have an honorable mention, but I'll let you go first.
So I have I can actually kind of almost answer this because my fiance, when we first started dating, had never watched wrestling at all prior to meeting me. So the first thing that she saw was Royal Rumble, and it was whatever the year that Bad Bunny performed at the Rumble. Actually, was it 2020? I think.
I think it was 2021 or 2022. Probably 2021.
Okay. So we watched that together, and Bad Bunny was involved, and then when WrestleMania came around, she was like, "Well, I kind of want to see the Bad Bunny match." So we watched that, and that kind of got her into it because it was and that's and this is my long-winded way of answering this question is in terms of it depends. 2021, okay. So it depends upon the person because I knew that if she saw a Bad Bunny match, that was going to kind of get her hooked.
Yeah.
The other thing that got her into it was that I think the match following that, or later on that night, there was a women's championship match, and she watched that, and I thought that she was going to be like this big Sasha Banks fan because I think that Sasha was in the match. I was like, that's it. That's going to be her girl. Cool. That's going to, okay. So naturally the next match I showed her was Sasha and Bayley from what was it? From NXT, where they main evented. Yes. And then that kind of got her into it enough where when she's invested, she'll watch. And now she has her favorites and she knows certain people, and she's kind of got it into it. Thank God she's became a Bianca Belair fan. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Well, and not even for any selfish reasons, because I actually love Sasha. I'm nothing against Sasha. It's just
this man.
She's not in WWE anymore. I don't watch AEW as much. I showed her. I think she's watched one AEW match. I showed her the Lights Out match with Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. We did a live stream and we watched Mankind versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell. Because I was like, okay, look, you want to see some violent stuff? This is how violent wrestling can get. Because I think we watched like a hardcore match. She was like, this is crazy. I was like, this isn't anything compared to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And what other companies even do.
Let me show you someone almost die.
Exactly. So I think it really depends on the person. If I had to pick, and it was just a random person, and I was like, I don't know you from Adam, and I got to pick 3 matches, I think Jimmy pretty much picked out 3 really good ones. I'd probably go with Austin Rock, WrestleMania 17, even with the turn at the end, just the My Way intro, and then that match.
Yeah,
I think is it's one of the best stories ever told. And in that similar vein, the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 win is also a good one. And Cody's at WrestleMania 40, where we were. Yeah. Well, you were there in person. I was there the night 1, but that's another good one with the story. 2 years build to that. So I think for me, if you're going to get somebody that you don't know into wrestling, I think the best thing to do is to find something with a good story, because you give them that little intro, and then they watch the wrestling, and then it's like, okay, all right, I get this now. This is why these guys want this bad.
Yeah. He said I would show, and showing them a Rumble is not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
My only issue with that would be like worrying about losing them, because it is a long match. So I think it would be like the second or third thing I showed them, not the first one.
It's also very hard to It's also very hard to explain who. There's 2 Royal Rumble matches now. So to explain to a new viewer who 60 different people are.
Yeah. So
that's a very difficult task, because I've done it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea, because I think I did this one year with friends. I had a bunch of them watching wrestling for the first time in a long time, and it was the first women's Rumble, and I had to explain to them who they all were. It wasn't a bad time. Like, it was cool because they all got to pick their favorites as I was explaining to them, and they all mocked me for my favorite, boohoo, and then mine ended up being the greatest of all time. But so it's not a bad one. I think just the length is the issue. But if I'm gonna do my honorable mention here, because I'm kind of sad that doesn't make the list. But WLC, just to show them how fun wrestling can be as well, because there's no fun match on the planet than WLC.
I was there live for that match.
Love these answers. Thank you very much, Dale. I appreciate that. But again, Harry, the live Rumble is not a bad option.
It's not.
It really isn't. It's a really good one.
Just real quick, that WLC match, the live crowd, when they got introduced, everybody literally, like, and I'm not even kidding, not just my section. This is like story side from other people that were there too. Literally, everybody was laughing and not paying attention. They're like, "Oh, haha, they're gonna do
idiots."
By minute 2, there was not a human being in that building whose eyes weren't laser focused on what was going on and going nuts. Yeah. I've never seen 2 competitors gain a crowd interest that soon.
I don't think it's just 2 competitors. I think because Drew and
3MB were out there,
with the match, gets their credit because they all did an amazing job there. It's an underrated match. I know everyone looks at it as a comedic thing. No, it's a great match.
It really is.
It's extremely underrated. And then Dale, Harry says that was a fun match. You dang right. It's fantastic. When I found the figures for that so that me and my son could play with them, bro, it was the best day ever. Hogan Rock, again, that's the one I have. Then you have Owen versus Brett, which is
love that
class in wrestling. So it's like, I get that one. And then Andre Hogan, because that probably is the most important wrestling match in all time. So all these, those are clearly good answers as well. So we'll move on to the next match, which I think, in my opinion, I'll see if it rivals yours. We're just going to jump to the big one here because I think it could rival those matches right there as far as Hogan, Andre, Hogan, Rock. Maybe not on the same scale, but as far as what they could mean for the business going forward. We have John Cena the son of a bee that just turned heel and broke the hearts of everybody, including myself. Maybe not Albert, but
Thank
myself
you.
for sure, taking on Cody Rhodes. Now, the build for this hasn't been long, but in the short time we've had, what would you say about the build they've done with this one?
I mean, this is the. I mean, I can't even. This is the biggest story in pro wrestling in 20 years, right? I mean, John Cena was never supposed to turn heel. This was never supposed. We were never supposed to live in a world where John Cena was going to be a bad guy. You know, it's always been that unspoken rule that John Cena was going to be the one who was going to be the babyface forever. It's not the case anymore, and this now gives us the opportunity to pass the torch to make Cody the biggest babyface in pro wrestling, and not just now, but I mean, forever, right?
Yeah.
And two, it really gives us the opportunity to explore something that we never thought was ever going to happen, something that at one point was planned and WWE canceled. And now he's completely changed up and done something completely different from what he even said he was going to do back then. We get to see heel John Cena for the first time since he was Thugonomics John Cena. This is going to be, I mean, this means more to the wrestling industry than people are going to get credit for now, and maybe even for the next 10 years. Yeah. The WWE is attempting to now transition and pivot away from their generational babyface to put another person into that spot, which is a very difficult spot to be in. And WWE, which has been a babyface territory for very, very long time, it started with Hogan, and they try to remanufacture something with Hogan. I mean, through guys like Diesel and Lex Luger, Ultimate Warrior. They've tried, multiple times before they then settled on Brett and then passed it off to Shawn. And then, from there on, Austin was the biggest babyface champion ever, even though he wasn't really a babyface.
I would say, I would say that Austin to Rock is probably the best transition they've ever had. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out that well because The Rock didn't stay around for very long.
Right.
I don't think they've ever had a transition that well. And I think
then WWE became a heel territory after that. Yeah. It was Triple H. That was their guy. And then once Triple H, once John Cena rose, they became a babyface territory again, and they have maintained that pretty heavily up until Roman. The last 3 years, it was a heel dominated world title picture.
They tried to do Roman as a babyface, and people just hated it. They're like, no, and then he became a heel, and we're like, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think there's a part of wrestling fans that are looking at this and living in the moment, and I love that. But the ramifications for the business from here on out, building Cody Rhodes is now the face of the entire wrestling industry, the babyface of the entire wrestling industry, the biggest babyface in the world. This is what does it. And John Cena being so selfless in turning heel in order to pave the way for Cody Rhodes to be that next guy shows how well he gets the business and how much this business means to him. It's an amazing thing. I crap on John Cena all the time because I was that guy who didn't like his reign of terror, during that point. Yeah, but
most people were.
But I get why it was important for the business. And this John Cena now gets the business so well, and he's doing everything he can to give back to ensure that Cody gets that status and that stature and can be that character without the pressure that he had.
Yeah. What I think is so incredible about this turn is the fact that when Cody got there, I was one of these people. I say he's being overpushed. People are going to turn on him. And then I think they'd have made the right decision by making him wait the extra year, win the title. I think that was the right decision because I feel like you need to see if he's going to be able to hold that momentum. On top of he has to face some trouble before we just give it to him. Then he's Superman, because that's what the problem with Cena was. He was Superman. And people were like, I'm tired of seeing Superman. But they made him wait, and then he won the title. And it's like, okay, well, how long before the fans turn on him? Because that's what the fans have been doing forever now. When the babyface wins the title, they turn on him. And here we are, a year into his run, and he's still hot as he's ever been. And then for you to put The Rock in there with him, the guy who gets some of the biggest pops in the world in the wrestling business, to get out there and people boo The Rock over Cody. And you have John Cena turn heel, who's been the face of WWE for God longer than anybody else has ever done it. And they boo him and they hate him for it. That is such a strong testament to Cody Rhodes. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm glad that as much as I like put hate on Cody Rhodes, it's from a fan's perspective. I respect the hell out of the dude for what he's done and what he continues to do. It's absolutely incredible to watch this happen. Yeah. And whereas I'm a little bit annoyed that we didn't get why John Cena sided with The Rock, it gives me a reason to keep. It holds a little bit of intrigue still. Like, okay, well, we still need to know why he did this with The Rock, because his reasoning, based in reality, I had this conversation with a casual friend of mine who just tunes in every once in a while, and he was like, it felt forced, and I was explaining to him why it wasn't. If you listen to what John Cena was saying, it was very real what he was saying, based on the things that happened. They booed this man when he got injured.
Yeah,
like similar to how they did Roman.
Yeah,
they not booed him. They cheered when he got injured. They booed him for things like he was the ultimate babyface, and people booed him. And he finally was like, it would make anyone snap. And for him to point out, like, I'm not a babyface, I'm not a heel, I am a human being, just like everybody else, and everybody has their limit, and he's reached his.
Right. You hated me for being the best person that I possibly could be for all these years. I mean, how doesn't that make sense? Like, I mean, how many times are you, as a person, you work in a retail store and your manager is a jerk, but you've got to maintain professionalism, right? And you can't tell them off. And now you get that promotion. You're not going to tell them off. Yeah. Of course you're going to tell them off, because if the Rams
he's got 1 year to do it. So he's like, what? It's time. And y'all going to have to hear what I got to say.
So I agree.
I think it's really good. I would say it was the best built match. Harry says that this has been the best one for him so far. I would say it was if I knew the connection for Cena and Rock. But since I don't, I'm not going to give it that yet, because that might be a really dumb thing. I don't think it will be. I'm not one of those doom and gloom guys. I just want to wait to see before I crown it the one, because again, I think the structure of the Rhea Bianca Io one has been really good so far. So I absolutely love what they've done here. I flat out said, hey, I think CM Punk and Cody's the better match to go with, but then things happen and I'm like, I was clearly wrong.
Right.
I'm extremely intrigued with what they're doing here. I'm very excited. And when this is all said and done, Cody will take the reins. We're literally watching the transition happen. And as an adult, I get to see it and understand it for what it is, as opposed to just being a kid that's just like, what is happening all the time? Like, so it's very cool to watch it happen. So I can like kind of look for little details and things of that nature. So I'm excited for how this plays out, but I would say it's a built one in my opinion. Let's get these. Lewis, he said, yeah, he loves the heel. So he was probably like, yeah, Cena hurt him, bust him. Man, that's messed up, bro. That's messed up.
I wasn't cheering him on. That was mean.
Here's how amazing this title picture is. We haven't even scratched the surface with anything involved. Yeah, exactly. And then there's the Randy Orton thing that is still looming. It's the best Cody story we have, and it's still just sitting in their back pocket. That's fantastic. It's really good. He says he wants the universe to turn on Cody. Wow, man. Come on, man. Them kids love him. Let it happen. And then Dale asked real quick, what is your favorite Cena loss? Do you have one?
Rob Van Dam at One Night Stand. I was there, and Rob Van Dam won the world title. I mean, it's my favorite Cena match of all time, but just because Rob Van Dam did it.
That's a great one. I'm going to go with recency bias. I think his Rumble loss this year was fantastic because of what it's led to. Like the face that he had when he dropped. I'm taking an easy route here because I don't really have one in the back pocket other than the RVD one. But I think the Rumble loss is going to end up being such a huge one when we look back on this years later. Like for him to just go in, I'm going to win the Rumble. And then he gets there and then he just gets pushed off. And he's just like, what? This isn't how things are supposed to go for me. It's just not how things work for Cena. And it shows the changing of tides. And then it led to the heel turn, which is one of the greatest of all time. So JBL parking lot. And I saw some little kid bring this up to him saying that was one of his favorite. He goes, "You've seen this, man?" He was like appalled that this kid had seen it.
That's amazing.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
His parking lot brawl against Eddie Guerrero was even better, in my opinion.
AJ, well, you're a big AJ beating him at SummerSlam is what Harry says, and Harry here is a massive AJ fan, so I'm not surprised that he picked this one.
That's not a bad one either. But you know what? Dale, you ask a good question. Ooh, yeah, Brock destroying him at SummerSlam. Yeah,
that was a beautiful one.
It's almost a hard question to answer because, yeah, I know he's lost 16 world titles, right? But it's hard to think of him losing anything ever.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, which one would be my favorite? I don't have many off the top of my head. Like I said, the RVD one is clear. That's a very, very good one and should be at the top of pretty much everyone's list. But I just can't think of many. So, or at least any that are significant and had like meaning to them. Because I can think of a bunch that happened, but they didn't lead to anything and they were terrible. So it sucked. Harry, just a tidbit, says he thinks Spears won the North American title so we could drop it to Saints. More than likely, for sure. I could see Saints having a short run in NXT before he gets the call up after Mania. I don't think he'll end up being the NXT title picture, but
I think they're going to. I don't know. I think that they have. You know what? Maybe not, because I don't think Obafemi is going anywhere anytime soon. So you're right.
I don't think Trick is going anywhere anytime soon either. So
it doesn't seem like it, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
There. So back to the WrestleMania chat. We will go to our third match on the list, and we will swing it back over to the ladies because we have Tiffany Stratton taking on Charlotte Flair, the Royal Rumble winner for the ladies' side this year. Now, I'll just go ahead and say right now, I am not invested in this at all. It was a match I want to see because I know the match is going to deliver. I know it's going to deliver. But this build kind of seems like it's the same thing with every single Charlotte Flair match of all time. The build is absolutely just, and I'm not enjoying the week to week build for it.
This week was at least fun with the brawl. I mean, that was at least fun. But other than that, for me, it's just there. And I want to care about this match so much because I really enjoy Tiffany Stratton. But I don't like Tiffany Stratton as a babyface.
It doesn't work.
I didn't see.
She needs to keep the same attitude. And I don't feel like she's kept that same attitude. That's my problem with the Tiffany Stratton babyface thing. Like, why can't she just be the one that tiptoes that line? Like, she acts the same, the way that the thing that earned her the fans' love. Act that way, but just I talked about when they turned LA Knight. Like, you don't have to do anything to the character, just have them go after the the heels instead of the baby faces, and it works.
Right. Yeah,
that's how you do it.
Yeah,
you Stratton do the exact same thing.
I completely agree.
So you're not trying to rewire something that was clearly working. International crowds, she was getting some of the biggest pops in the world.
Yeah,
and now it's like it just seems like she's lost that momentum, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel like she won the title, and we haven't seen anybody go after it. I mean, yeah, she had the match against Nia, and other than that, it's just like, okay, well, she's champion, and WrestleMania season's coming, and Charlotte Flair won the Rumble. She picked her, and it's like, okay, like this is naturally what we thought. This is what we know. This is going to be, like you said, this is going to be a good match.
Yeah,
there's a lot they could have done, I think, to give us more intrigue. And right now, for me, it's just there.
Yeah.
I want more.
It reminds me of the Charlotte. Was it Charlotte and Rhea the first time?
The NXT title.
Yeah. I nothing to it. It was just that. But the match was good. Like, then the second time they faced, the match was great. But the build was just whatever.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Bianca and Sasha, even though it ended up main eventing, the build for that did not warrant it at all. The build was absolutely terrible. And it seems like that seems to be a reoccurring issue with the women's Royal Rumble winner. They don't know how to properly book a feud for that going into Mania.
And you really the best built was when Becky won it, and they had to interject Charlotte into there out of nowhere that nobody really wanted.
They didn't have to interject her; they just did. But the feud had been built up prior to the Rumble, and that's why they were able to just kind of continue and go with it. They didn't have to like manufacture a feud from the Rumble; they had one in their back pocket, and they just continued.
But that build was really fun, though. The cop car segment and stuff like that. They had a good build. But I also think that was because it was Ronda Rousey. And they were like, well, we got to come up with something really special because it's Ronda Rousey and she's going to be involved.
Becky was the hottest wrestler on the planet. Had Becky not got injured and they had the Survivor Series match, I don't think the build going into Mania for the women's title would have been good. I agree. I think they got lucky. Dale says someone has to get under Charlotte's skin. That's why we aren't. And I agree. Yeah. I think Charlotte has a problem with being vulnerable on screen.
We saw it when she got booed, when she was supposed to be that baby face. Yeah. When she came back and she was getting booed, she changed into the heel character really quick. And I get that they were probably going to make her a heel eventually anyway. But, she was mad that they didn't let her get out like her little thing before she did it. She does not like to be in that position, and she doesn't react well to it.
No, I think that's a great comment there, because I think that's what needs to happen for someone to like give a crap. I think they should say, hey, Tiffy, what do you have in the chamber? Go out there and just say what you got to say about Charlotte and have Charlotte take it.
Right.
Then have Charlotte attack her. Like, you've made me so mad. Now I'm pissed. Not just go out there and attack her when she's, nothing's happened. Like, it's very lazy what they're doing now. And I hate to say that because, again, it's one of the matches I wanted.
No, same here. I thought that, look, when Charlotte was coming back, I think everybody was saying, okay, if Tiffany's the champion, that's the match, right? Who else does Tiffany face at this point? It makes sense. It's her greatest test at this point. It's Charlotte Flair.
Heels are just better. I think they're just easier to get under your skin and make you give a crap. I think that's what it is with the heels. They are better because you can either
do whatever they want.
You think they're cool, or you really hate what they're doing. It's very easy to trigger that emotion from a heel. The babyface is a lot harder. And that's why I think they should just left Tiffy alone. Like, just do what you were doing before. Just do it now.
Especially now. Look, we haven't gotten a microphone showdown between the two of them yet. So they're going to hopefully give us the opportunity to see them go one-on-one against each other, and hopefully let Tiffany get some digs in there and really feel like she's got some momentum. Because look, physically, yes, we get it. She's a match for Charlotte. Okay. We saw it. They had the brawl. She kept coming back. We get it. Okay. We understand. But we knew that she's Charlotte 2.0. Charlotte was a volleyball player, and Tiffany was a gymnast. Like, they have that similar background. They both broke into the business, and even though Charlotte didn't even want to ever be a wrestler, just broke into it because it was like the next evolutionary step after they had completed what they had completed. Tiffany did the same thing after, with her gymnastics career.
Yeah, I think
it makes sense.
They need to have Tiffy kind of present that. Because maybe there are people who don't know that aspect. There might be some people who don't know like the ins and outs of like the backstage stuff or their prior things. But there's some people who just watch the show and they just know them for who they are. I
don't understand how Michael Cole doesn't point out on a weekly basis that Tiffany Stratton was on like an Olympic, or like she was on like teams with Simone Biles. She's the most popular like female athlete in the world. Like, that's something they should be building up. And I get they didn't do that for Tiffany in NXT because she was a heel the entire time. She's a babyface now. This should be something that is like in the forefront of all the packaging that they're putting together for Tiffany to make her seem more special, because that's the thing. She's a generational athlete. Like, she's like done stuff alongside some of the most amazing women athletes or athletes, period. Because Simone Biles is better than 99.9% of men too. They really. That's my big thing about it. Okay, she's a babyface, but what are you doing to endear her to us? Like, that's what I want to see. Like, I want to see something like that. Like, imagine giving us that more of a background of her to see, they got to dig a little deeper with her if they want me to care about her as a babyface. I cared about her as a heel because she was doing excellent heel work.
Yeah.
I need to care about you a lot about you to be a babyface because I need to like you.
Yeah. It's wild that they haven't done the 2.0 thing, like from Tiffany's perspective. Have they? Because I feel like I've heard Charlotte say something about it, but I don't think
she's mentioned it. But it's not but it should be the forefront. It should be the focal point of this feud.
It should be Tiffany saying, "You did this, I did it better. You did this, I did
it faster."
Like that should be where Tiffany's coming from, and doing it from an arrogant perspective, which was what her character was prior to trying to twist her into this babyface thing. Like that's exactly what would have worked, I think, in my opinion. But what they're doing now isn't working. That's why I feel confident to say things like that, because they need to try something, because what they're doing isn't working and it's not clicking for literally anybody that I've seen. It's not just my thing. I haven't seen anybody praising this. So, and
what you said writes itself. I mean, I came into NXT and within a year I was a women's champion. It took me much quicker to do it than it did you. And within my first couple of months on the main roster, I became the women's champion much faster than you. And unlike you, I won't ever have to be a 12, 14-time world champion because I'm going to never lose this first one.
I may have been daddy's girl, but I didn't need daddy to get where I'm at.
Boom!
Like,
there you go. Like, come on, it's right there.
Let me write for her, man. Come on.
Why are we not writing for WWE? I ask this question all the time.
Yeah, it sucks, but there's still time to turn it around. I'll keep giving it opportunities, but they got to turn it around. It isn't clicking with anybody. And then Harry says, Cole needs to. Yeah, he's got to bring up the hashtag stuff and mispronounce wrestling moves. Oh, that drives me crazy.
The crossbody thing was a.
Yeah, that's man. Come on, Cole. You know better than that, man.
Yeah.
All right, but now we'll move on to the fourth match that they have announced. The one that seems to be getting the most negative reaction from what I see, but I'm not going to get into the negative reactions because those people are silly. We have Jey Uso taking on Gunther from the Jey Uso won the Men's Royal Rumble, so obviously he gets the challenge we wanted. Gunther was the man he chose because he's had problems with him in the past, and he's here to prove himself. He's here to say, I can do it. Yeet. And he chose Gunther. And now here we are. So, I think mine's going to be a little bit surprising, so I'll ask you, how have you enjoyed the build for this match so far?
I have actually really liked it. I think it's actually endeared me to Jey Uso even more. And I really dislike the discourse about, about Jey and, he's not a good wrestler, yada, yada, yada. Like at the end of the day, the guy is just over. Yeah. And he's the kind of a person where, if this was normal people, when he would have kind of flubbed a little bit this week and he hit his, leg on the top rope when he did that dive, usually, he walked into the ring and he just smiled and laughed, and everybody in the arena was just like, "Okay,
happens."
Yeah, all right." And then when you delve deeper into it, it's the people who dislike him because of the fact of if you don't put on a Dave Meltzer 5-star match, you're apparently not a good, you shouldn't be, wrestling. That's their opinion.
I guess Kurt Angle shouldn't have wrestled either.
Exactly. I guess not, right?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Jey has done such a great job in building himself into being a perfect challenger for Gunther. He's lost before. He knows what it's like to taste defeat. He's overcome now the hardest thing to do in pro wrestling, right? Winning the Royal Rumble has to be the hardest thing to do as a pro wrestler. You have to beat 30 people in one night. It's nothing that you're ever asked to do on any other night except for one night a year. And Jey Uso did it. If he can accomplish that, then yeah, I think he can beat Gunther. And I think that it's really fun to see that every time Jey gets a bit of momentum, Gunther has been there to cut him right off. And to stomp on his dreams.
It didn't work.
Exactly. And that was perfect.
I think the progression of Jey Uso has been absolutely fantastic. I want to remind everyone that 2 years ago, I think it was a little less than 2 years ago, when Jey Uso challenged Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, people wanted Jey to win.
Yes.
Fast forward, and now people don't want him to beat Gunther. And I think a lot of it is because Gunther's the darling. Everyone just thinks Gunther is just the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he is. He's fantastic.
Gunther is
argue against that at all.
Hands down, he's been my favorite act in WWE since he's come onto the main roster. It's him and Finn Balor are like 1A and 1B for me. And I want to see him lose.
Yeah,
I didn't. We did the show last year, and I was adamant about him not losing to Sami Zayn, who even had a bigger underdog story at that point. And I was even sitting there saying, no, he shouldn't lose to Sami Zayn. I want to see him to keep this championship forever until he unifies it with the world title. Like, that's how much I wanted to see. I even want to see Jey Uso win this match. The story is so good. Like, you feel for this guy so much because everything that happened, I just bring up Sami Zayn. Everything happened in the bloodline with Sami, where he was public enemy number one, and everybody hated him more than everybody else because he was the only one who wouldn't accept Sami Zayn. Yeah. To being the person who accepted Sami Zayn more than anybody else, to being the guy who turns his back on everybody, pieces out and makes good on his own, and wins the Intercontinental Championship. By the way, put on a bunch of great matches in that stretch that no one talks about now, because all of a sudden when he wins the Royal Rumble, he's got three moves and he doesn't know how to wrestle.
So
wrestling fans are fickle. Jey Uso is over, and this is the most fun I've had in a WrestleMania build so far. I think that we can sit there and say that everything with Cody and Cena is shocking.
Yeah.
I think that we've been underwhelmed by Tiffany and Charlotte. And I think we've been, pleasantly surprised by how well the Rhea, Io, and Bianca match has been built. This has been the most fun that I've had. And I really enjoy the evolution in the arc in Jey Uso's character. I like that he's gotten serious and told very good promos during this time where he's not spamming the word yeet like everybody says he does all the time. He's cut some really good promos on this way, and no one's paying attention to how much better he's becoming on the mic too. He's getting more comfortable. He's getting more natural. I love everything about this so far.
So I've been enjoying it. I don't think it's I have it probably the third best, but that's not a knock because, again, I think the Io Rhea has just been naturally progressed the best, and John Cena and Cody is just blockbuster. So, but I think it's been good for the simple fact that I'm remembering everything that came before. I'm not just looking at it as Jey won the Royal Rumble and that's where his story started. No, Jey's story started when he joined Roman in the bloodline. He was the henchman. And then he grew up, and he grew.
Or even before that, when he had to fight his way into that part. I mean, he faced Roman for 2 pay-per-views in a row for the world title.
That's kind of the part I'm talking about. Like he was
right. He
was getting little brothered, and then he became the henchman, and then he became the groomer, and then he got pushed back in favor of Solo. And the acting he did in that, everyone talks about how good Roman and Paul was. Jey was just as good in those times. And then if you go back to I don't give a damn what the tribal chiefs say. Like, there's real emotion with what Jey does. And then he progressed through all of that. He turned heel just a little bit when he feuded with Sami, but then it was like he saw the error in his ways and immediately jumped back into what he was supposed to be. And he said, I'm going to do this on my own. And he jumped out, came to Raw on his own for the first time in his career. Like, that's a big thing for someone who's been in WWE for 14, 15 years? He jumped to be on his own, not just away from Roman, but away from his brother, who he's been in a tag team with since he started wrestling. So We're watching the natural progression from the moment he showed up on Raw till now of him rising up through the ranks of the singles division. Like, he won the Intercontinental title. He defended it once, lost it. Whatever. He was learning. Like, he didn't have Jimmy to depend on. So it was a learning experience. And we talked about this with Braun Breaker. Every time he lost, it was a learning experience. Well, Jey has gone through a lot of learning experiences. Only his has been amplified.
Jay's loss also for that Intercontinental title was because Jimmy cost him the match too. It was also, again, natural progression of his character. Yes. His past is coming back.
Instead of having Jimmy help him, Jimmy screwed him. Like, that's part of that's part of the story that they're telling with Jey right now. And, he's had the big matches with Drew. He eventually beat him. He's had the big matches with a lot of main eventers. And then he ended up holding his own. And he's just naturally progressed. Got to the Royal Rumble, and he took out the biggest chief of them all. And that's where the confidence all came flying in. Like, I can do this. I do belong in this position. And now I'm going to go back and get my licks back on Gunther because I've come close twice. It's because I doubted myself. I'm not doubting myself anymore, and he's here to get it. It's a great story. If you think about everything that happened prior, because as Not Sam says, everything matters. And if you just throw that out the book, of course you're going to be a little bit upset with things. And we saw, because for the past few weeks, Gunther, every time Jay was starting to get some momentum, Gunther was there to chop him back down. This week, he progressed. Gunther tried to chop him back down. Jay was ready for it, and he stood tall. I don't care that he botched. Everybody botches. Shut up.
Right. Like all of your favorites have done it.
Oh, man. It's been fantastic. This is how things used to happen back in the Attitude Era that everyone loved so much. They progressed you slowly up the ranks, and you had to prove week after week that you belonged. And Jay has proven that he belongs because he's a heavyweight. He's selling more merch than people like Punk and Roman, and he's been doing so for a long time. His crowd reactions clearly drown out the hate that this man gets everywhere else. I don't care what the internet says. The crowds that are paying their money to see this man week after week after week love him. And when he cuts those, I'm not a fan of the whole, like when he's having fun doing the yeet. I do think he does it too much sometimes. But when he gets that microphone, he cuts like a real promo. There's not many, I think, that are better than him on Raw. He's a perfect candidate to beat Gunther. And I'll bring what Harry says up here. He thinks Gunther should beat Jay at Mania. And I'm going to tell you this. If he does, I'm okay with it. Because it's the same thing with when I wanted Gunther versus John Cena. I thought it was a great story because whether Gunther loses or wins, you're going to feel something. And it's the same way here. If after all this, Gunther beats Jay, watching where Jay goes from there is going to be just as interesting as seeing what he does if he wins. It's a great match. It took me a little bit to get on board with it. But I looked at it from the whole picture, not just focused in on this little area right here, because you can't do that anymore. This isn't the last era. Right. This is a new era. You got to pay attention. We think we'll get, yeah, they got to do that match during the build. They definitely do. And he says he hopes Jay wins. Hey, and if he does, it'll be fun. It'll be a great moment.
You know, the thing I wanted to bring up real quick. Go ahead, actually read this, and then I'll get into it.
No, go ahead. Then we'll close out with that.
All right. If people bring up the yeet thing with Jay, and you know, a lot of people bring up some of the best promo people in wrestling.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, people make comparisons to LA Knight as well.
What?
Sure. But it's not even about the singular phrase. It's about hitting, it's about hitting your material, right? Now, we know that The Rock is one of the best promo guys in wrestling.
It doesn't matter if you hit your material. Like, yeah, it's repetitive stuff.
Every week. We would get 3 weeks, most of the time of a Rock promo where know your role, Boulevard, small back down Boulevard, know your role, know your role, shut your mouth. It doesn't matter what you think. Turn it sideways and stick it straight up your candy ass. Jabroni. If you smell what you're a jabroni if you smell what The Rock is cooking. And that was a normal, like almost every week. And everybody did it exactly the same way. The New Age Outlaws came out and did the exact same shtick every single week before their matches and got pops for it. Yet if Jay Uso uses the word yeet a couple of times, and now all of a sudden it's a prop. Like, that's what get people over. You would sit there, Daniel Bryan would come out, and you would say, yes. How many times? 100 times. You'd sit there going, yes. That wasn't annoying, but, and Bryan also, in all of his promos, would usually use the word yes over and over again. Now, he would end it chanting it, right? Yeah. How is that any different than what Jay is doing? It's the same thing.
It's Meltzer star rating thing. That's all it is, man.
Exactly what it is. It's 100% what it is. And that's my thing. When Jay needs to cut a serious promo, much like when The Rock needed to cut a serious promo, they come out and they do a great job in taking all of the fun, and tucking it off to the side for a little bit and putting business, out first. Jay's done that multiple times in this feud and multiple times before this feud. As a matter of fact, before he even started saying the word yeet, he was cutting great promos.
His promos before were fantastic. But again, it was that emotion that I was talking about. when he doesn't do the yeet thing, which again, it's just not my thing. I'm not hating on him for it. Do what you do. It works. Who am I to say you're doing something wrong just because I don't like it? That's not how wrestling works.
Right.
You're not going to love everything, fans. But when he cuts them raw, emotional ones, it's like, dude, that's so good. And I think,
but if he does it every week,
no, it wouldn't work. Which is
right.
why I think the yeet thing makes those feel even better.
I was just gonna say that.
I see it. I'm not a dumb fan. I'm a pretty smart fan, which is what I'll bring up with this comment. Lou says, no, you can't write Jimmy for WB because I don't want to see Punk on every segment, on every show. And I wouldn't do that, man. I think if you would have listened to one of the booking shows I did, you'd see I don't play favorites. I really don't when I'm being serious about it. I really focus on like what's good, what's going to make the most sense, and where can we go from that moment to the next moment and to the next moment. And I think 4 or 5 steps ahead. Right. And I don't play favorites. I promise you I don't when I'm trying to be logical here, man. That's just what I do. And if you want proof, no, I won't go into that because you don't like that guy either. But we hit the hour mark. So what we're going to do is we're going to say our goodbyes. But before we do, I'm going to let everyone know, if you're first time listening, I really appreciate it. Make sure you go ahead and follow us on Spotify. That'd be really awesome. Rate the show. That'd be cool. I think that's what you're supposed to do. If not, no worries. I just really appreciate it. And it's my birthday, so just do that for me on my birthday.
Yeah.
That'd be really awesome.
Yeah, like he's not asking for anything. To something totally for free. Just hit a little button on.
It takes 5 seconds of your time.
Yeah.
I don't want money. I want your time. And
not a lot of it.
Yeah. And tomorrow I will, it'll probably on YouTube. If you watch Friday Nitro Reviews with Nick, I'll have that over on the Friday Nitro Reviews channel, but on the Spotify, I'll have that up Saturday morning for the Friday Nitro Reviews. So if you're a big WCW Monday Nitro person and you really want to go back and live through those moments, go ahead and follow us, myself and Nick the Geek. We go ahead and we go episode by episode and we break down the episodes. We give it a grade and we try to analyze it a little bit through some glasses of an adult as opposed to when we watched it when we were younger. It's been a lot of fun so far. I think I've figured out a little theory that maybe no one's ever heard of before with the Nitro stuff. So I'll probably break that down on the next show there. So again, if that's your thing, watch that. And with that, Albert, do you have anything you would like to say?
Can't wait for WrestleMania.
I like it. I can't wait for SmackDown.
I know.
I saw the
names.
Night. There's a bunch of names that are going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be a massive show, I think. So,
love that.
I'm very excited for that.
Look, and Punk, Roman, and Seth under one roof. That's it.
And it's my actual birthday.
And it's your birthday. Like, happy birthday to you.
To me for that one. That's going to be really good. I hope Punk
stands is on SmackDown. He's on SmackDown specifically for your birthday. He told me.
Yes, that's awesome. Thanks, whoever did that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, CM Punk.
With that, I will see you for this show next week on Spotify on Thursday. It'll drop. YouTube, maybe it'll be Wednesday, maybe Thursday. I got to get my schedule. We'll figure that out. But we will be back next week no matter what. So until then, toodles.